What do you do when your life feels trapped? When the pressure is too much? When the future looks impossible? When the only way forward seems completely blocked? What do you do when fear is behind you and uncertainty is in front of you? This is the story of one man, a man who began life hidden in a basket and became the one who stood before kings, spoke with God, and watched the sea split in two. This is the story of Moses. Long ago, in the land of Egypt, the children of Israel lived as strangers in a foreign land. At first, they had been welcomed, but over time, everything changed. A new pharaoh rose to power, one who did not remember Joseph and did not care about the people of Israel. He looked out over the land and saw how numerous they had become, and fear began to grow in his heart. What if they become stronger than us? He thought. What if they rise up? So instead of trust, he chose control. He forced them into slavery. Day after day, they labored under the hot sun, mixing clay, making bricks, building cities they would never live in. Their backs ached, their hands were worn, their lives were filled with pain. Yet even in their suffering, they continued to grow. And Pharaoh, overcome with fear, gave a command so cruel it echoed through every home. Every Hebrew baby boy must be killed. You can imagine the fear that spread among the people. Mothers holding their newborns closer, fathers unsure how to protect their families. But in the middle of that fear, one mother chose faith. She looked at her baby boy and refused to let fear have the final word. For 3 months, she hid him, quietly, carefully, risking everything. And when she could hide him no longer, she did something unthinkable. She built a small basket, carefully woven from reeds, lined it so it would float, and placed her child inside. Then, with trembling hands and a hopeful heart, she set him into the river, not knowing what would happen next, but trusting that God did. The river carried the basket gently through the reeds until it came to a place no one could have planned. Pharaoh's own daughter had come down to the water. She noticed the basket, and when she opened it, she saw the child, a helpless baby. And in that moment, something powerful happened. Compassion replaced fear. Instead of obeying her father's command, she chose mercy. She took the child in and raised him as her own. And just like that, the boy who was meant to die was now living in a palace. Moses grew up surrounded by wealth, education, and power. He learned the ways of Egypt. He walked through royal halls. He had access to everything the world could offer. But deep inside, he knew who he was. He knew he was not Egyptian. He knew his people were suffering. And one day, he saw it with his own eyes. A Hebrew slave being beaten by an Egyptian. Something inside Moses rose up. Anger, justice, identity. He stepped in and acted. But in that moment, everything changed. His choice forced him to flee. He left behind the palace, the comfort, the identity he had known, and ran into the wilderness. Far from Egypt, far from everything familiar. Moses began a completely different life. He became a shepherd. Days turned into years, and years turned into decades. 40 years passed. 40 years of quiet. 40 years of waiting. 40 years where it may have seemed like his life had been forgotten. But God hadn't forgotten him, because one day, in the middle of an ordinary moment, everything changed. Moses was leading his flock near a mountain when he saw something strange. A bush was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. The flames were real, but the bush remained. Drawn by curiosity, Moses moved closer, and then he heard it. A voice.
Moses. Moses.
In that moment, everything stood still. God spoke to him. He told Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people. He had heard their cries, and he had come to deliver them. And then came the calling. Moses would be the one to lead them out. But Moses struggled to believe it. Who am I that I should go? What if they don't believe me? What if I fail? He saw his weaknesses, his past, his limitations. But God didn't focus on any of that. Instead, he gave a promise. I will be with thee. Not you can do this on your own, but you won't be alone. And that changed everything. So Moses returned to Egypt.
Let my people go. I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go.
The Nile turned to blood. Frogs covered the land. Darkness fell across Egypt. Each plague was a warning. Each moment was a chance to change. But Pharaoh would not listen.
Get out! Leave
Until
my
finally,
palace and never return.
one last message came. God instructed his people to prepare. Each family was to take a lamb and mark their doorposts with its blood. It may not have made sense to everyone, but it was an act of faith. That night, something passed through the land, but wherever the blood was marked, those homes were protected. They were spared, and in the morning, everything changed. Pharaoh finally broke. Go, he said. Leave. After generations of suffering, the people of Israel walked out of Egypt, free. You can imagine the feeling. Relief, joy, disbelief. But the journey wasn't over, because not long after they left, Pharaoh changed his mind. His pride returned. His anger grew, and he sent his army after them. Chariots thundered across the Alad. And soon, the Israelites found themselves trapped. In front of them was the Red Sea. Behind them was Pharaoh's army. There was nowhere to go. Fear spread quickly. People cried out. Doubt filled the air. Why did we leave? Were we better off before? But in the middle of all that fear, Moses stood still, calm, steady, unshaken. He spoke words that would echo through time. Fear ye not. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And then God moved. Moses lifted his staff. The wind began to blow, and the sea began to part. Water rose on both sides, forming towering walls.
Fear not, the Lord has made a way. Walk forward in faith.
Step by step, the people moved forward, not because they understood everything, but because they trusted. They walked through the sea on dry ground, and when the Egyptian army followed, the waters returned, just like that. It was over. The threat was gone. The danger had passed, and what once seemed impossible had become reality. This isn't just a story from long ago. It's a pattern. There will be moments in your life when you feel surrounded. Moments when fear is loud and answers are quiet. Moments when the path forward doesn't exist yet. But just like Moses, you are not alone. God sees you. He hears you. He knows exactly where you are. And even when you can't see a way forward, He can. Faith doesn't mean the sea disappears. It means trusting that when the time is right, God will part it. So when you find yourself at your own Red Sea, with fear behind you and uncertainty ahead, don't turn back. Stand still, trust Him, and watch what God can do.
If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. And we would love to hear from you, so please leave a comment below.